Hey everyone, and welcome to another Star Wars Games update, where we bring you all of the latest and greatest in Star Wars gaming news. Today we'll be going over the big news stories that have made the rounds this week, especially with the story of Amy Hennig's official return to Star Wars gaming. But it's also reportedly set to be quite familiar to Hennig's previous cancelled Star Wars game, Project Ragtag. In addition to this, we'll also be going over the recent Star Wars Fortnite leaks and the release of the Force Unleashed port for the Switch. And before we get into any of that, a quick reminder that if you do like these type of videos, then be sure to give it a like to show your support for this update series and the content within it. With that out of the way, let's get into it. Lucasfilm Games on Tuesday announced that it has teamed up with indie studio Skydance New Media in delivering a new Star Wars title, which is set to be a cinematic action-adventure game with a focus on storytelling. Aside from this, there is not anything else known about the game, at least officially, on what setting or even era it would take place in. But the main highlight here mostly is that it will be helmed by ex-Naughty Dog creative Amy Hennig. That's right, this is now officially Hennig's return to Star Wars after her previous game, codenamed Project Ragtag at Visceral Games, was ultimately cancelled by EA. Since the news of that broke, it's always made me curious on what she was up to, and based on what little we did know of Project Ragtag, at least at the time, which was also a Star Wars action-adventure game similar to the Uncharted series, Hennig was no doubt very passionate about it, and well, Star Wars in general. So when EA canned all of her work on that game, I figured it wouldn't be the last we've seen of her in Star Wars again, but this soon? Oh yeah, it's a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. What's especially interesting too is that her studio here, Skydance New Media, which in itself is a division of Skydance Media, a production company that's best known for its work in film and television, has actually yet to make a single game. Last year, they teamed up with Marvel to make what Hennig described as a narrative-driven blockbuster action-adventure game featuring a completely original story and take on the Marvel Universe. So, given that the studio has virtually no portfolio yet at all and is only recently venturing into the world of video games, not gonna lie, I'm very curious to see how they'll handle that untitled Marvel game, as depending on its quality, then it's going to give us some idea on how well Skydance's Star Wars project may look like. Direction-wise, I'm not too worried, as I do trust Hennig there. But it's more of a question regarding the dev team that she's assembled and whether they'll be up to the task of making a truly great AAA Star Wars game, which of course, as we know, is not an easy feat and comes with plenty of pressure. But on the flip side, at least Hennig won't need to worry about EA cancelling her project and now be able to work at her own pace and comfort level, which no doubt is gonna be a big plus for her. Now, since this news originally broke on Tuesday, well-known games leaker account NGT has shared a bit more details on what they currently know about this game behind the scenes. For one thing, its current codename is called Project Walton, and most interestingly, it seems that it will be set in the OT era. Which, hey, look at that, Project Ragtag was also part of the same era too. So, understandably, the leaker has suggested that it could even be a revival of Hennig's cancelled EA project, a whole redone version of Project Ragtag, if you will. For those unaware, that game was set just before The Empire Strikes Back, and it was about a group of scoundrels within the Star Wars underworld, done within an Uncharted type of feel and style to it. Project Ragtag would primarily be featured on Tatooine, where the group would deal most notably with Jabba the Hutt, but at the same time would also venture off to other brand new alien worlds and see them take on the likes of the Black Sun Syndicate and, of course, the Galactic Empire. For what it's worth, I wouldn't really expect Hennig to copy and paste Project Ragtag into Project Walton, as it's likely a lot of that is still owned by EA, but if she does choose to at least borrow the best elements of it and craft a story similar to that of Ragtag, then oh yeah, that scenario seems to be very likely here, at least from what we're currently seeing and hearing. No doubt that this still being early days, a lot can and will likely change. But if we do get a reimagining of Project Ragtag, would that even be something that most of you would even want? Playing with a group of scoundrels within the Star Wars underworld, over than what I would say would be the typical fan favorite Jedi and Sith and dealing with the Force stuff. So yeah, I'm curious what the general reception regarding this is. Let me know down in the comments section on what you think or would like to see here. Personally, seeing as we're already getting our fill of that in the Jedi Fallen Order sequel, then I'd be open to a linear action-adventure game that's not totally focused on the Force or lightsabers. Diversity in gaming options is nice to have, so why not? In other news, the port of Star Wars The Force Unleashed for the Switch has officially released this week, and honestly, I'm having a complete blast with it. I've only ever touched The Force Unleashed for the Xbox 360, which at the time, I had no idea the Wii and PS2 versions of it, which the Switch version is a port of, are almost entirely different games compared to the 360 and PS3 versions. And this is because they were made by completely different developers. There's also a popular belief that the Wii and PS2 versions of The Force Unleashed were even superior too. Well, aside from the graphics of course, and this is largely due to there being in general a lot more to do there. More to collect, the levels were crafted better, and it was just all around a better game. Like for example, you can actually go inside the Rogue Shadow starship and use it as a hub, whereas that wasn't even possible in the 360 and PS3 versions. Not to mention the Wii also had a seriously cool multiplayer fighter mode that didn't exist anywhere else, but now we've got it in the Switch version, which in my opinion alone is worth the price for it. Granted, it's a bit disappointing that there are no battles of the CPU in there, but the mode is still a lot of fun when playing with friends. And the best part of all, the performance on the Switch port just makes playing it so much better, as the game runs at a buttery smooth 60 FPS at all times, which isn't something that you see every day on the Switch, especially for a game of this quality. I mean, I don't even think the PS2 and Wii versions ran at that FPS. So that's saying something. I think if you already beat LEGO The Skywalker Saga and are curious to relive the Force Unleashed story through a whole other game, topped off with a unique multiplayer mode, then grabbing this will for sure scratch that Star Wars gaming itch. Speaking about Star Wars game ports, there's a good chance we maybe are getting another old classic coming to the Switch. With The Force Unleashed now out, it goes without saying that Aspyr are already working on their next port, whatever that may be. And when asked on Twitter if that next port could be Rogue Squadron, Aspyr gave a cheeky response saying the following: "Here at Aspyr, we're huge Star Wars fans and love bringing Star Wars games to new audiences. For us, it's all about the games we think players are most passionate about and would love to see brought to new platforms. If the demand is there, we're on board." Now, knowing the legendary status of Rogue Squadron and how it became so many people's first introduction to Star Wars flight gaming when it first came out in 1998, then it goes without saying that Aspyr had likely had their eyes on it for some time now. And honestly, based on the way they answered here, I would think they probably have already been working on a port behind the scenes, but have tried their best to answer the question here without denying nor confirming that. You know, not to give anything away before they officially announce it. Another interesting thing to note is that this Rogue Squadron suggestion was the only tweet that Aspyr responded to, and not to any of the other games that people mentioned. So while that might not mean too much, if they are truly working on it, then that would make sense that they'd only be willing to touch on anything Rogue Squadron related and not something else. What's also pretty cool is that the original game director for Rogue Squadron, Julian Eckbrett, weighed into all of this to give his advice on what he'd like to see of a remaster of the game to look like. For starters, Eckbrett said that he wanted to see elements of the unreleased Nintendo Wii Rogue Squadron game, which was supposed to be the fourth and final installment of the series. However, that game was cancelled unfortunately due to legal issues between Lucasfilm and its game developers. But as Eckbrett says that this one for the Switch would be the ultimate Rogue, posting a video of the trailer for the unreleased Wii game. Using every last bit of the Wii, all controllers from the Pro to the Wheel, all levels from Leader and Strike in one as intended, fixed and remixed. Multiplayer, 1-to-1 gyro lightsaber combat, 60 FPS are owed to Star Wars. And when a fan thanked him for responding with all of this, Eckbrett thanked him for enjoying the games and added, "To round this off, it should include a remastered Rogue Squadron N64/PC with the high detail ship models from the Wii and updated textures and shaders. The Force would be strong with that one." That said, even though I would love to have Rogue Squadron on the go, I would have absolutely no objections to Aspyr also porting the original Battlefront games either. Lastly, it looks like Fortnite could be getting a Star Wars heavy season sometime in the near future. Granted, Star Wars is no stranger to Fortnite, but it has been a long while since the game had an entire season dedicated just to the franchise, which I believe was the Rise of Skywalker season back in 2019. Well, according to data miners, new files for an Imperial Stormtrooper NPC have now made their way into the game. The description for it reads that the Empire have now joined the Imagined Order, who are apparently currently the main villain faction in Fortnite's latest season. Also, pair that up with the other recent leaks of Darth Vader himself even appearing in the game this summer, both supposedly as an NPC boss and player skin, as well with Chief Creative Officer of Fortnite, Donald Mustard, teasing an image of C-3PO and Chewbacca on his socials earlier this month, then yeah, this definitely gives us a strong impression that Star Wars is once again coming back to Fortnite in a big way. And that will do it for this Star Wars Games update. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please like, share it, and subscribe to the channel to not only support it, but to keep up with Star Wars news, gaming, and canon lore released every week. And consider following me on Twitter and Facebook to never miss out on the latest Star Wars content. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.